In this video I'm going to take a look at how you might use a sketch to explain the process of removing a trench. So to start off with, I'm going to use my isometric grid paper. I'm going to set up 3 blocks of wood all the same size, so I'll start by drawing a 30-degree line, and I'm going to measure out steps of boxes of 5, 3 sets of 5, and then I'll go in the opposite direction 4 blocks, and I'll complete the rectangle, which would be the top edge of the wood. And then just a vertical line down 2 squares with parallel lines, and again to make up that block of the wood. And in the middle you can see that I've set out my trench, and it's only to 1 block in depth. I'm going to use the lines or the points of the back edge of the block to create another one directly below it, and again the exact same sizes are going to be used here. Locate the trench, and again just drawing lightly where the trench is going to go, and I'll need a third one of these, and I'll locate the points of where the edges are again and go my depth of 4 blocks. Again, that's going to be in line, so each one of these are in line. Not that it's necessary that they all be in line, but it looks pretty good when they're all lined up above each other, so it's kind of like steps in the way that's built up. And then I locate where my trench is again. So now what I want to do is I want to outline my block of wood, and what I'll do here is I'll indicate where the saw lines for the shoulders would be. You could have an individual one done just for the shoulders, because I have to take out a little bit of the first process over to halfway across the top of it. That's why I'm rubbing that line out. So halfway across the top of it, and I can draw my slope line showing where the chisel would be used to cut out that part of the trench. A little bit of end grain and face side, face edge makes it look much more like the wood, and of course I could put in my X's on the top of that there, which I'll do at a later stage. Then on to the next stage, that process has to be repeated from the opposite side. So what I'm going to do here is just draw that centre line, and I'll take up the 2 sloping lines from either side on the right hand side of the piece. And again, don't put anything heavy in until you're pretty sure of what it is that you want, and it's pretty easy to go back over it and draw in heavy what you need. And a face side, face edge with a little bit of end grain as well too will help the appearance of the whole thing. And the very last one is where the trench is completely removed and cleaned out using the chisel. So I'll use a parallel line from the front of the trench and my vertical 1-step block. Now it takes a bit of practice to be able to do it at this sort of speed here, but the more you try it out and keep drawing boxes using the isometric grid paper, it's much more natural and easier and quicker it'll feel to you. And again, face side, face edge on that there. And just to make the process kind of step by, I'm going to use bullet points or just indicate points in it. I'm indicating the width of the trench here and the depth of the trench. This will vary depending on what maybe you're asked for. If it was particularly wide, you might have to put another saw line in the middle of it, which I'm sure you've done in woodwork class. And just the first thing that you do is measure the width of the trench. So you might be actually told in a question that it is 70 millimeters wide or 40 or whatever, and you can put in that size. Then you need to gauge the depth, and the third thing you would have to do is cut the shoulders, because your chisel will only cut out as far as wherever the saw lines go to, using the tenon saw. And then we want to chisel up towards the centre of the piece from one side, and then we will repeat that process and do it from the other side. And you can see I put an arrow into where it shows it there, and the second sketch will actually show where it's repeated from the other side. And finally, to clean the piece out horizontally, finish out level with wherever saw lines have been taken down to, because the chisel will only go to wherever you've set your saw lines to. Hopefully it's the gauge line, and it's quite difficult to draw on a chisel, so I'm not going to bother my head with putting in a chisel. And you can see the process is very clear there indeed, and a few arrows showing the different points in it, and they could be bullet points or numbered points as I have them there. And just to finish off, a few lines that I want to put in a little bit heavier, and I could put in the waist up at the very top section there. And that's a pretty clear setup as to how you would go about removing a trench on a piece of wood.